Welcome back, students. Earlier, we already had started discussing with the Ricardian theory of rent, and this particular theory it is developed by a famous British economist by the name of David Ricardo. Ricardo, in his very theory, he do really try to explain the very meaning of this word rent and also try to explain how rent is determined or how rent comes into the picture. And before he explained this very theory, he said that rent it is that portion of the produce of the earth which is paid to the landlord for the use of the original and indestructible powers of the soil, which is according to him, what is this rent? It is simply a payment. Okay, a payment for what? A payment for the use of a plot of land. And according to him, that plot of land has got soil, and yes, that very soil is very, very fertile. Okay, and the fertility of that very soil, it is something original, and it is something that can be destroyed, which he said it has got an indestructible powers. And further, after defining rent here, he also did assume or did made certain assumptions, such as when he assumed that the supply of land is limited, when he said that this rent accrues only from land, when he also said that the law of diminishing returns apply, and when he said that rent is price determined, and further, according to him, land is cultivated in a historical sequence. That means the cultivators first they'll choose the best plot of land, later they'll go on for the less fertile, so on and so forth. And further, while explaining his very theory, Ricardo did mention some important terms in which, for example, when he uses the word marginal land. And what is this marginal land? According to him, this marginal land, it is that very plot of land that does not yield any rent. Whereas the other plots of land that does yield a rent, he referred them or he called them as the intra-marginal land. And rent, according to him, it is simply a difference between the produce of the marginal land and the intra-marginal land. Okay, so yes, on explaining his very theory, Ricardo assumed that there are a group of migrants who first migrate, who first settle in a new land or in a new area. And at that very moment, when they first settle into that new land or area, there is abundant supply of land. Okay, so even then what happened was those group of farmers or cultivators, what they'll do was first they'll choose the most fertile plot. Okay, and here in our example we assume that they choose the plot A. So the diagram that you can see here, it is a diagram that depicts that very plot, that is the plot A. So yes, when they first move on into that new land or new area, those migrants or those cultivators, what do was they produce OQ as the output at a price OP. Further, in the diagram, we have the MC curve, MCA curve. We also have the ACA curve, which are the marginal cost curve as well as the average cost curve of this very plot, that is of the plot A. These two curves, that is MCA and ACA, did intersect at point E, which gives us OQ as the output and OP as the price. So since if you look at this particular situation, okay, producing OQ as the output at a price OP, what happened was the price OP or QE just equal the average cost, that is QE. That means the price also is QE and the average cost also is QE. So at this point of time or at this particular situation, what happened was this plot of land does not yield any rent. Because why? The price just equal the average cost. Okay. So at this particular situation, what happened was, as time passed by, as years went on, pass on, population will definitely keep on increasing. And with the increase in population, what happened was demand will also keep on increasing. And the moment demand increases, that will increase the price, that will push up the price from OP to OP1. Now we will have the new price line by the name of P1B. Okay. So from the point B, what happened was we drop perpendicular towards the output axis. That means we get this line BQA. Okay, which means with the increase in demand, with the increase in population, and with the increase in price, this the farmer from this particular plot of land, they now increases their output from OQ to OQ1. Okay, so producing OQ1 as output at a price OP1. Okay, now let's have a look. How much is the average cost? BQ1, it is a price, or it is also referred to as the uh, what can I say? The price or the average revenue that is being incurred by this particular producer. So since with Q1B as the price, what happened was, let us find out how much is the average cost. The average cost is AQ1. Okay, BQ1 is the price, AQ1 it is the average cost. That means there is a difference of AB, and this area, this AB here, is the rent per unit of this very plot. Okay, and if we multiply this rent per unit AB with the total output AC or Q1O, okay, here AC, it is the same as Q1O. If we multiply this BA with AC, we get the total rent, which is equivalent to BACP1. This is the total rent that is being enjoyed by this plot of land. But later what happened was, as population keep on increasing, okay, there will be an increased demand. Okay, so what happened was, in order to increase the demand, there is a need to produce more and more output. There is a need to employ more and more workers. There is a need to employ more and more um, capital in this very plot. So with that increase in population, with that increase in demand, there will be a tendency for the price also to increase from OP1 to OP2. Okay, so with increase in price to OP2, we have a new price line P2D. Okay, so after obtaining this point D, what happened was, dropping a perpendicular downwards towards the output axis OX, we get OQ2 as the output, which means the producer now they are increasing their output from OQ1 to OQ2. And not only that, price also did increases from OP1 to OP2. So with this increase in price from OP1 to OP2, okay, that is OP2 price or DQ2. Okay, so at this DQ2 price, let's find out how much is the average cost. The average cost is FQ2, and this average cost FQ2, it is lesser than the price Q2D, which means the producers of this plot of land, that is plot A, they are earning a rent equivalent to DF per unit. And if we multiply this rent per unit DF with the total output FG or Q2O, we get the total amount of rent that is being earned by this very plot, that is DFGP2. So this is the total area that is the total rent that is being earned by this very plot of land. So what happened was, if population keep on increasing, the same thing will happen. Prices will increase, more and more will be, more and more output will be produced. So what happened was, in order to increase, to get, in order to produce more amount of labor, more and more amount of capital are being employed in this very same plot of land. And what happened was, on doing so, the amount of rent will also keep on increasing. So, this situation in which, in order to increase output, in order to meet the increased demand, when more and more workers, more and more labor are being employed in this very same plot of land, this is referred to as the intensive cultivation, as explained by David Ricardo.